Hello, everybody, and welcome into another episode of Mark Rogers TV, the voice of college football. But it is a Texas Tuesdays edition here on the Texas channel and on the Big 12 channel. So thank you again for joining me. Every Tuesday, we're here, 7:30 p.m. Eastern time. So hit that like button, subscribe down below. We're just trying to grow this brand, grow this channel, guys. I know there's a lot more Texas fans than what we have on this channel. There's no way there's 2,500 Texas fans in the world. Hell, there's not even 2,500 Texas fans in where I'm at in Ohio. There's more of them. So please hit that like button, subscribe down below. That's your first set of homework. Your second set, if you're going to go to a big game, wouldn't you want to save money? Money is tight right now. Inflation is an all-time high. Go to ticketsmarter.com, type in code BIG for $10 off of a $100 purchase, and then type in code BIG20 for $20 off a $300 purchase. So please do that, guys. It really helps out this channel. It helps out TicketSmarter. It helps out your pocket. It helps out everyone involved, so why not take advantage of it? Next up, subscribe to the SEC channel. We are also trying to grow that brand. And subscribe to this channel right here, the Big 12. Right now you have myself on here. Clint Foster, I believe his name is doing a show. He's a TCU fan, does a pretty good job over there. Yeah, it's Texas. It's pretty clear. That's fine. But that's his only flaw. He does a very good job. So go over there, like it, subscribe over there as well if he has any content that you would like to watch with him. So let's get to it. Texas Tuesdays Live. Texas beats Wyoming 31-10. I will flash up that score for anyone involved. We'll go over comments real quick. We got one in there. Will Texas blow out Baylor Saturday? We will get to that, James. We will get to that. Just hang on tight. But we're going to recap this Wyoming game real quick. Texas beats Wyoming 31-10. I predicted score 34-10. So I was pretty close. I feel good about that. And I'm doing a decent job predicting these games so far. Not great, but decent. I said we lose Alabama 28-24. That game was right in there, guys. I'm glad we won, obviously. I'd way rather be wrong in Texas wins than be right in Texas loses. And honestly, the way the schedule's looking, guys, I don't really see many losses on it. So let's jump into this recap real quick. So Texas, 31-10 over Wyoming. A good Wyoming team. I think this team would probably be the 9th or 10th best team of the Big 12 in this current iteration because the Big 12 this year is not good, guys. We all know that. Quinn Ewers struggled except the fourth quarter. 11 of 21, 131 yards, 11.9 yards per attempt, 2 touchdowns. Jonathan Brooks, his first 100-yard rushing game of the year. I said we needed to do that. He did that. So props to him. 21 carries, 164 yards, 7.8 yards per carry. Had one really long run in the game, and then one kind of medium-sized run. The rest were 4 to 5 yard carries. So he did a good job overall. I think he is our best running back. You can debate CJ Baxley, who is hurt. Jaden Blue came in, 5 carries, 14 yards, not great, and then he fumbled. So once CJ Baxter gets back, I expect this guy to see a lot of the bench because of that. I like what I see from him, but the problem is I think he's a turnover machine. I think that's why you don't see him on the field as much as you should because he's got the talent, guys. He's a good player. When he does transfer, he's going to transfer somewhere well and do well. It would not shock me if he had a cup of coffee in the NFL. I think he's got that talent. The problem is, I think he's a turnover machine. That's just my 2 cents on the situation. I don't have any data or proof behind that, but that's the only reason I don't think he sees the field as often as he should. Savion Red comes in, 2 carries, 12 yards on that quarterback's sneak, a little quarterback trickery there. He played quarterback in high school a little bit, so I would expect that to be a staple in the offense, honestly, on short yard situations. I think it should be. I think if you're down there on 3rd and goal at the 1 yard line, why get Quinn hurt? Put him in there. He can throw a little bit, run those Tebow pooch passes or run it with him. I have no issue with that. Xavier Worthy, 4 receptions, 56 yards, 14 yards per catch. I mean, Xavier Worthy had 1 really long touchdown catch, 40-something yards, and then the rest were really small catches. A.D. Mitchell, 3 for 30, 10 yards per catch. And then Keelan Robinson was our 3rd leading wide receiver with 1 reception for 16 yards. Now, that was the in my opinion, the bad part of the team. But guess what? Football is a team game. You have offense, you have defense, you have special teams. The 2/3 of the team did their job. I thought the defense was fantastic again. Jahdae Barron was by far the best player I saw on defense. He was very good. He's been very good for us the last year and a quarter now. I expect him to be a 2nd, maybe 1st round NFL pick. He's that good, guys. He's very good. The only thing he struggles with is coverage versus speedy wide receivers like we saw versus Alabama. He got beat by Isaiah Bond a couple times, but Just don't put him in those situations. It's that simple. Keep him to a bigger that guy that can't run as fast, and then he does great against the run. He loves to hit people. 9 tackles for him. Jalen Ford, honestly, it's a coin toss. If you want to say Jahdae Barron's our best defender, I have no issue with that. If you want to say Jalen Ford is our best defender, I have no issue with that. He had 7 tackles. And Ryan Watts has really impressed me this year. There was a lot of stuff coming out of camp that Malik Muhammad was starting to take that job, the freshman, one of the 5 stars in our class. And Malik Muhammad has seen the field, but Ryan Watts has been very good in coverage. He likes to hit people. He's good at the physicality part of the game, and the coverage has gotten even better. So I really like what I've seen from him. He's elevating himself. There were NFL scouts that really thought Ryan Watts would have to come to be a safety. I'm not so sure. I think he probably will end up being a safety, but I think he could play cornerback. Let's see. The guy runs like a 4.65 40. Guess what? Richard Sherman ran a 4.7. If you put him in zone coverage and he likes to hit people and he's good at the line of scrimmage with his hands, he can play in the NFL at the cornerback position. I really believe that. Now, if you're a man-to-man type team, then he probably will end up being a safety, and I think he'll do a damn good job. He's a 6'3" guy. I think he can cover tight ends. So good job by him this season. And then the guy that finally showed up to me, the guy that I thought was going to lead our team in sacks, I'm not 100% sure who does at this point. If I had to guess, it would probably be Ethan Burke or Anthony Hill. Barron Sorrell had 1 sack. So he finally showed up. He played well against the run too. He just needs to be more consistent. Him and Alfred Collins definitely have, I think, the highest upside on our defense. The issue is they don't play to their potential every down in every game, every snap. That is their biggest issue. Wyoming, people want to talk about this. We beat them 31-10. And Wyoming came out with a totally different game plan than I thought they were. I thought Andrew Peasley was going to play. He's a 53% career completion percentage guy. They said, no, we're going to go with Evan Svoboda. And I didn't listen to the Wyoming coach's post-game show, but I would assume that's because he didn't think he could run the ball consistently. And he was probably right about that because Harrison Whaley did have 1 long run, a 60-yarder. And then after that, he only averaged like 4 yards a carry or even less. I think it was like 3-point-something yards per carry. So overall, we did a very good job versus the run other than the one. And honestly, that's because Anthony Hill, going back and watching the game, Anthony Hill came way too far on the inside, and then the whole bounce the play was going to the outside. So I don't know why Anthony Hill did that. Honestly, as a linebacker, it's read and react, and he read that way wrong. You have to stay there, and then once you see him commit to his hole, that's when you attack, and he committed way too early. And then Vernon Broughton honestly got beat one-on-one, and you can't allow yourself to get beat one-on-one. If you're Vernon Broughton, you're way too big, you're way too talented, you have to take that up. T'Vondre Sweat, going back and watching this on the defensive side of the ball, was getting double and triple. There were plays he was triple teamed. And by the way, double teams, he does not get moved. What happens on double teams is you'll see him get stood up, like no one moves. It's basically just a stalemate right here like this. You don't see any movement either way. So he does a great job. Their mock drafts having him as a 1st-round pick, which is insane. This guy, if he came out last year, would have been a 4th or 5th-round pick. He's been great. He'll end up probably being a 2nd-round pick when all is said and done. No offense to him. I just don't see his body type ending up being a 1st-round pick, unless it's late 1st round like a Malcolm Brown was. But I just don't see a high 1st-round pick like he's going now. I think he was in the top 15 at one point in one of the mock drafts I looked at. But he's done a fantastic job. Nothing bad to say about T. Sweat. He's done phenomenal. For Wyoming, Wyatt Wieland and Trevin Welch and Devin Bodie Jr., the 3 guys at wide receiver. And you saw them, honestly, the whole night. They were running curls, outs, and that's about it. Some slants in there too, but that's what they were doing. And another guy I want to give love to, Jaron Thompson. He recognized that. I'm not sure if he was told or he acted on instincts. I'm hoping he acted on instincts because every Texas fan could see that. Hell, we could see it earlier. I wish they would have done it a little bit earlier, but props to him for doing it in general, because I think in past defenses he wouldn't have done it. He sat on that out route, picked it off. That's all they were running the whole night. You could have probably had 2 or 3 of those because I think, like I said, the game plan was get the ball out quick, eat up time, and let's try to win this in a nasty way. And Texas, honestly, did a pretty good job now looking back on it on offense because they didn't get many opportunities. The opportunities that they did get in the second half, they have 4 possessions. They scored 3 touchdowns. So they did a much better job in the second half. I will say that. But overall, Steve Sarkisian was right. Like, points per possession is right on par for what we did versus Alabama and what we did versus Rice. The problem is you were tied 10-10 with the team you shouldn't have been tied with. Rice, honestly, after the 3rd quarter, it was over. I think if Texas would have just moved up the 4th quarter to the 3rd quarter, us fans would have looked at it a bit differently. But overall, I'm not as mad as I was after the game. I think people are blowing this out of proportion. But this is how you beat Texas, honestly. If teams are going to play like Wyoming did, Texas is going to have to adjust. And I think most teams are going to try this. I think Baylor is probably going to try this week. I think Baylor's going to run clock. try to get some rushing yards where they can, try to break off a big one like Wyoming, and then make the passing game very simple for Sawyer Robertson, who is going to be playing for Blake Shapen. And you're going to have to, because Sawyer Robertson's not that good. But overall, 31-10 win. I can't complain. We are 3-0 for the first time since 2012. So take that for what it is, guys. It's a good start to the season. We're open up Big 12 play undefeated for the first time since then. What is that, 11 years, 12 years? So, guys, round of applause for this team. It's a good start, but obviously we got 9 more to go. And I'm going to take a swig of water real quick, and then we'll jump into this Baylor preview. Okay, guys, so let's jump into this Baylor preview real quick. Let me scroll down for you real quick. Okay, so Baylor comes into the season 1-2. Honestly, I think at this point I had Baylor at 2-1. I didn't think they would lose to Texas State. I don't think anybody thought they would lose to Texas State. So they're 1-2. They average 24.7 points per game, which is 93rd in the country, guys. It's not good. 23 points against, which is 72nd in the country, which isn't great either. Their backup QB is Sawyer Robertson. He's played 2 games. He's 28 of 62 for a 45% completion percentage, 1 touchdown and 3 interceptions. This guy is not good, guys. We should take advantage. I think the quarterback from Wyoming is a much better player than this guy. I think this guy's more athletic because that Evans Kubota guy was a multiple sport athlete for Wyoming. You could tell he was an athlete, but he was very clunky as an athlete. He was an athlete because of his size. If he was 6'1", no one would call him an athlete. He was 6'5", so he was athletic for his size. Sawyer Robertson is a pretty good athlete, and he's going to use his legs against us. But Evans Kubota can make way more throws for Wyoming than this guy can. This guy's not a good quarterback. Blake Shapen has more touchdown passes in missing every game other than the first one, and I think he exited that game early than this guy does. That's how bad this guy is. We have to take advantage of him. We have to create turnovers. We have to beat this team by a lot, guys. I think we should beat this team. We'll get there, but we should beat this team by a lot. Next up, the running backs, Dominic Richardson, who I thought was going to be the bell cow, who I was told was going to be the bell cow, which I'm confused at why he's not the bell cow, is not the bell cow. That would be Richard Reese, who honestly, or actually they are all kind of getting equal carries. Richardson has 30 carries. Richard Reese has 26. Dawson Pendergrass has 22. So it's kind of like a shared backfield there, like most colleges go with. But I thought Dominic Richardson, from what I was hearing, was having a good camp, so I was expecting more from him. I knew what you're getting with Richard Reese. He almost ran for 1,000 yards last year for Baylor, so he's a good player. I'm not underestimating him. It was kind of surprising, honestly, to me that they didn't have him over Dominic Richardson on the depth chart. Next up, their leading wide receiver is a transfer from Arkansas, Keatron Jackson Jr. We talked about him in the offseason as well. Next up, we got Hal Presley and Drake Dabney. They all average over 14 yards per catch. The only guy with a touchdown reception, though, is Drake Dabney. Keatron Jackson has 0 touchdowns. Hal Presley has 0 touchdowns. And it's kind of easy to see because there's only 3 touchdowns overall, and Drake Dabney is obviously the touchdown guy. So to me, guys, whenever they're in the red area, you got to look for the run or look for Drake Dabney. Make the other guys beat you in the red zone area. I think Keatron Jackson is more of a stretch the field type guy, so that's where you got to look out for him. Overall, this Baylor team is not great on offense, like we've said. They're not great anywhere. Let's just be honest here. They're not a very good team. I overestimated them coming into the season. I thought they would go. I think I had them at 7-5 or 8-4, and they're not going to get anywhere near that. They're already getting. If the game goes like it should, they should be at 3 losses at the end of this game. So they're not going to get there. They're going to probably finish in the bottom 4 or 5 of the Big 12. I think I had them at 8th. So I wasn't too far off on that, but I was off on the record. It wouldn't shock me if they go 5-7. I think they were 5-7 last year. And it's Dave Aranda got lucky that he did well in the transfer portal because Keatron Jackson is your leading receiver. Mike Smith is second on your team in tackles, and I really do like him. I wish kind of Texas, honestly, would have went after him. He's a transfer from Liberty. He had over 100 tackles in his freshman season with the Flames down with Virginia. So he's been good for them. He's second in tackles. And then, guys, a familiar face, Byron Vaughns, is leading them in sacks with 2. TJ Franklin is also with 2, so they're tied for the lead. And he transferred from Utah State after he got to Texas. Now he transfers to Baylor, and he's doing pretty well with them. So I think this is a revenge game for him. I wouldn't be surprised if he makes some plays because he's a good player. He definitely would have been playing with Texas. He's good off the edge, and we need that still. We're still not consistent there. Guys, I just don't see how this Baylor team competes right now. I think Vegas right now has them as a 15-point underdog, and that's at home. So that means if they were playing at Texas, they probably wouldn't be within 20. Honestly, it'd probably be about 21 or 22 as a line. And this is a game we have to win. You know, last week I said we would come out and struggle versus Wyoming early, and that's exactly what we did. And then we would probably turn it on. I thought we'd turn it on the third. We only had one possession then, and then when we finally got the ball a couple times in a row, we were able to obviously skate away from Wyoming and end up beating them by 21. There's no excuses. You came off a average performance versus Wyoming. I'm not going to call it bad. After you won your biggest game of a decade, and this is opening Big 12 play. To me, it should have been a great week in practice. You had a struggle fest versus Wyoming. Number two, this is opening Big 12 play, the last season you will ever have playing Big 12 competition like this every single week. Three, it's an FU type season for Texas. You have to go in there and assert dominance right away and say, guess what? Our hard games were with Alabama. We're going to demolish you guys. And I'm hoping they do that. They should, guys. Again, this team is not good. This Baylor team is not good. If Baylor and Wyoming played on a neutral field, Vegas would have Wyoming favored. I'm telling you that right now. That's how bad Baylor is. We have to beat this team. I'm going to have us beating this team. I think Baylor scores a late touchdown. I think it's 37-10 in the fourth quarter. I think they do score late. I think it's 37-17. We cover that number. We show them who's boss. Like, we kind of have early on, and then they took a lead there with Art Briles. But ever since then, we've kind of been beating Baylor pretty easily, other than the 1 year, first year under Steve Sarkisian. So, guys, we got to win. This is not a good team. This is the bottom 4 or 5 team of the Big 12. And you have in my opinion, a very hard game next week. You're playing a team in Kansas next week. If you don't take care of business like you should, that can easily beat you. They're one of our 2 or 3 hardest remaining games on the schedule. And in my opinion, they're the second best team in the Big 12. Maybe third, but they're top 3 in my opinion for sure. I have them in the Big 12 championship game. So you have to beat this Baylor team. This Baylor team struggles in basically everything. The only way, guys, that Baylor beats us is if we turn the ball over more than 2 times. Like, we could turn it over twice, and I still think we beat them. But if we turn it over 3 times, they turn it over 0, they're going to beat us. So, and please just jump out on them early. Crush their spirits early. If you get up 21-0 and make Sawyer Robertson throw, this team has, honestly, they may not score, because that's how bad this team is on offense. Suffocate the run, make Sawyer Robertson throw. That is how you beat this team. Make David Aranda want to be fired at the end of the year, because I think that's where this thing could be heading. Make him want to be fired at the end of the year. So Texas beats Baylor 34-17. That's what or 37-17. Sorry, James Brown. Will Texas get into the college football playoff? That is a very interesting question. I did not have them in the college football playoff before the season. I thought they'd finish like 8th in the country. I don't know. It's very hard for me to see. To me, guys, if this is a college football playoff team, you go on the road, you win this game by 3 scores. They have to win this game by 17 plus points, guys. This is not a good Baylor team. It really isn't. Wyoming's a better team. We beat them by 21 at home, and we got off to a terrible start. If you got out to a good start, this team will quit on you. I'm telling you right now. Just beat the crap out of them early, and let's skate through this. Let's get some Arch Manning or Malik Murphy play. That's the type of game this is, honestly, guys. Baylor's not good. There's a lot of those teams in the Big 12 this year. I think they're one. I think Houston is one. I think Iowa State's one. I think Cincinnati's one. There's 4 bad teams in the Big 12. Houston, too. Houston is not good. So, guys, I can't answer that right now for you, James Brown, but thank you guys for being here again. Guys, please like the video. Please subscribe. I'm trying to grow this channel. I want like 50 comments back and forth. I would go for 2 to 3 hours. The problem is I don't have enough people. I don't have enough content. I just went for 19 straight minutes on a decent game. I'm not going to call it a great game, but it's a decent game. If you get more people in here, we can go back and forth about all of college football. I love talking college football. I love talking it all the time, especially here on Mark Rogers TV. Hit that like button. Hit that subscribe button. Go to the Texas channel, do the same thing. Go to the Big 12 channel. If you're on the Texas channel, do the same thing. I'm going to be here every Tuesday in the season, and probably even in the off season. 7:30 p.m. Eastern time. After every game, every Saturday, and one Friday, I will be here after the game discussing your comments, concerns, questions, and breaking down what I saw. Obviously, we get in a little more detail after I'm able to watch it once or twice more. And I'll be able to do that even more thorough this week with Baylor, because I won't have to go through a bunch of highlights, because no one watched or had the recording of the Wyoming game, because no one has the Longhorn Network. So thank God that's over. Anyways, guys, thank you for being here. Like the content, subscribe to the content, hook them, guys. Let's kick Baylor's ass on Saturday.